I installed a hidden camera in the house and caught my girlfriend cheating. Where do I even start? My girlfriend, who is 20, has been living with me, 21 male, and my family for the past 2 years. We've been together for almost 4 years. She got into a huge fight with her dad and decided to move out. My mom, being the kind person she's always been, offered to let her live with us. I agreed, of course. I mean, I loved her. Now, I've always been somewhat jealous in relationships, but not the crazy kind the title suggests. It was the only way to find the truth. My suspicions first arose about a year ago when I was playing the board game Codenames with my 24-year-old sister, her 24-year-old boyfriend, and the girl, let's call her Stacy. Stacy and my sister's boyfriend were on a team together, and right away, I didn't like the energy they were giving off. She was laughing at all his jokes. He was teasing her about something. It all looked flirtatious to me, and I wasn't having any of that. That night, I talked to her about it, and she told me it was nothing, of course. During this time, I was attending school and working as a cook, so I was out of the house most of the time. Some days I wouldn't get home until midnight. My parents and my sister worked 8 to 4 jobs, and my girlfriend only worked weekends. She took her schooling online. My sister's boyfriend is in construction, but his schedule is 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Most of the day, Stacy and my sister's boyfriend were home alone together. My suspicions only grew since that board game night. Every time they were in a room together, Stacy would barely look at him anymore. They'd make small talk here and there. I could tell the dynamic of their relationship changed. I confronted Stacy again, asked why all of a sudden she was acting so awkward around him. She said it's because she doesn't want to upset me. At this point, I felt bad for making her feel guilty. I said I'd never bring it up again, and I kept my word until 6 days ago. I was lying down on the couch upstairs in the living room. Stacy was in the kitchen making a smoothie. My sister's boyfriend came downstairs and started making lunch for himself. I couldn't see what they were doing, but I pretended not to care, holding my phone to my face. I could barely see their figures in the reflection of the back door's glass. They were shifting around each other, trying to do their own thing. When all of a sudden, he slapped her ass. In that moment, I felt frozen. Every part of me flared up. After my sister's boyfriend went back upstairs, I got up from the couch, went to the front door, and put my shoes on. Stacy came toward me and said, "Where are you going?" I just responded, "Really?" I just saw what happened. And then I left and slammed the door behind me. She chased after me, getting all angry, trying to act as if nothing even happened. I told her what I saw, which just made her even more mad. A reflection? So you're saying that you didn't even see it? Then you thought you saw it. You wanted to see it to justify your psycho thoughts. At this point, she's threatening to break up with me, saying she's going to move out and live on her own, making me feel guilty by saying she's broke, that she'll have to drop out of school and work full-time at a job. As much as I wanted to just end all of it and let her go at this point, I apologized. I apologized for everything, begged her to stay, and promised to never ever bring it up again. It took a lot of convincing, but eventually she decided to stay, and we walked back to the house. But I knew what I saw. I just needed hard evidence. That same night, I ordered a tiny black hidden camera from Amazon. When it arrived, I set it up in the living room next to the kitchen, just at the corner of one of the curtains. The next morning, 2 days ago, when everyone was still asleep, I discreetly took out the chip, put it in the USB, and quickly went through the footage on my laptop. Nothing. I cleared up the space and put the chip back in the camera. Then, yesterday, I finally got what I wanted. I woke up before everyone else again and viewed the chip. Approximately at 3:15 a.m., I saw my sister's boyfriend slowly walk downstairs and sit on the couch. A few minutes later, Stacy walked upstairs from our room. She carefully walked over to him, sat on his lap, and I couldn't bear to watch anymore. I was in complete disbelief. The girl who I spent 4 years with, the girl who I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, cheating on me with my sister's boyfriend all this time, lying to my face, making me feel guilty. I went back downstairs, woke up Stacy, placed a laptop in front of her, and played the video. As soon as she realized what was happening, she instantly closed it and froze. Nothing was said for what felt like an eternity. She started sobbing, trying to utter words, until I finally spoke up. "You're the most conniving, disgusting sociopath I've ever met. Start packing your stuff right now, or I'm sending this to everyone you know. We're done." What followed was a very long, pathetic sorry excuse for an apology that I don't even want to get into. Eventually, she called her dad. He came by and picked her up. So, I guess she's going to live with her family again. A lot of her things are still here, and she doesn't have any friends to deliver them to her, so I have no idea what to do with all this. As for my sister and her boyfriend, he's also been kicked out of the house, and now has his own place somewhere. Who knows? Maybe Stacy might even move in with him. I don't care at this point. He slept with his coworker, and 6 months later, I'm still at a loss for words. I don't know where to begin. We were dating for 3.5 years, and back in January, he came home one day and told me that a mutual friend of ours had applied to his job. I was excited because I knew her from a past job. He worked at a bagel shop with my mom, and I knew she would be good with keeping up the pace since we used to work at Panera together. Anyway, I hyped her up and was really excited for her to help out my mom, my ex, and their coworkers. I thought she was a genuine friend and didn't think twice about it. A few weeks after they started working together, she added him on Facebook. I thought nothing of it, and he told me right off the bat that she added him, and we both just didn't bring it up again. A few nights went by, and we were both watching TV when he mentioned that she messaged him, "Hey," on Messenger. We both giggled and wondered what she wanted. Keep in mind, he was updating me on everything, so he messaged her back, "Oh, hello." A few hours passed, and then boom. She sent him an entire paragraph going into depth about how much she liked him and had always liked him, even when she and I worked at Panera a couple of years before. Let's just say I didn't take it lightly. I guess this is my own fault. I was always jealous and got really overwhelmed. I messaged her myself on my own account. I said it was messed up to try to take my boyfriend, knowing our history and how long we've been together. She apologized and said she was drinking and didn't think about it. I said it was okay. My boyfriend at the time said he didn't respond. I asked him the next day to remove her from his Facebook, and we could call it at that. We both went to work, and I worked later than him. He would get off at 3, and I would get off at 5. My job is really laid back, so I play on my phone all the time. I noticed that both she and he were logged on Facebook at the same time when 3 o'clock came around. I refreshed his profile 15 minutes later, and she was deleted. I thought it was over, and that was the end. Boy, was I wrong. So everything was back to normal for a bit. But one night, my anxiety and depression got the best of me. We were drinking pretty heavily that night, like usual, and having fun playing video games. We went out for a smoke break, and I told him I was really anxious about this girl. I told him how all I could see in my head was him going over to her place when they got off work and sleeping with her. He broke down and started crying, telling me he would never even think about screwing me over that hard. I have worked my ass off since I was 16, full-time job, full-time student in college, public health major, and have had my own car for years. Meanwhile, this girl has 2 DUIs and barely makes it by. Mai was always the one to bring up marriage first and everything, so when he got upset, he really got upset. He told me if we ever broke up, he would be so sad and would do anything in the world to try to fix whatever happened. I genuinely believed him and was so relieved to calm down finally. Valentine's Day was coming up, and he made reservations at our favorite restaurant and bought me a huge teddy bear. V-Day came around, and I felt like everything was going wrong. Our waitress didn't really seem to want to be there, and the vibes were just off. We came home, cuddled, and watched a movie. We hadn't had in a little while, so I was expecting a little something, but nothing happened. I didn't mind it. You know, when you've been with someone for so long, it really doesn't matter at that point. Once again, another couple of days went by, and at this point, Mai was just not himself at all. He stayed up really late and skipped class, and I told him it was unacceptable to skip class. He had already done it twice, and it was only the first month and a half of school. He told me he wanted to talk and said I was really overwhelming to be with. He said he hadn't been feeling us for months, even though this guy just cried over us, breaking up a few days before and was just acting like a whole new person. I got really sad and called a friend, and we drove to the beach so I could get some space after the talk. We didn't break up, but I wanted to get away ASAP. I came home an hour or so later, ready to figure out our problems. He grabbed his keys and said he was going to the bar. I wanted to go with him in hopes that a few drinks would help us communicate. He told me not to go and that he wanted to go alone, so I stayed home and cried until 2 a.m. He stumbled in the door, drunk as hell. He drove, by the way, and slept on the couch. The next morning, I asked him what the heck was up and told him if he wanted to be single, he needed to just tell me instead of ignoring me. He said he did want to be single, and I called it quits right then and there. I called my best friend and asked her to come help me pack. We lived in a 2-bedroom townhouse with 2 dogs. I asked him to leave while she was over so I could talk to her. He left, and that was that. She came over, helped a bit, and listened to me rant. Then I got a text from him. He texted me at least 5 times, saying he can't lose me and he doesn't understand what's going on in his mind. His family has a history of bipolar schizophrenia. I told him to come back ASAP and we would make it okay again. He was the of my life. I would have done anything for him. So, my friend left, and he drove home and immediately scooped me in his arms and cried. He kissed me and said how sorry he was and how badly he wanted things to go back to normal. I didn't know what he meant by that. He asked me to lie in his arms on the couch, and we started watching a show. 30 minutes passed, and he stood up and went to the bathroom. He was in there for a while, but I didn't think about it. Then I got a text. The coworker told me everything. He had slept with her 3 times during those 2 weeks since everything started. When he went to the bar, he actually just got drunk with her, slept with her, and drove home. I was shocked. I ran and started slamming on the bathroom door, screaming that he was a cheater. He came out looking so sad and said he never meant it to get that far. BS. He said he would have his phone shut off, or he would give me his phone every day when I left for work. I actually considered it for a moment, but then I looked out into the backyard, and I swear God sent me a sign that said, "No, you need to end it." So I told him to leave and that I would be moved out in 2 weeks. He instantly ran back to her and once again lied about it. He texted me out of the blue that he was staying with a friend until I moved out to give me space. But I found out really fast that he was staying with her. Once I moved out, he moved the girl into our house. She posted her apartment online for a sublease. Another month passed, and it was on Facebook that they were now in a relationship. It's been 6 months now since the breakup. I think about it a lot, but I'm doing a lot better. I went to therapy, got all A's, did summer school so I could finish faster, bought myself a new car in cash, and I'm moving on my own. I've tried to date again, but I really just can't fall for anyone else without thinking of Mai the whole time. I'm healing on my own, no matter how long it takes. I just hope one day I can wake up and not think of him, and I can finally get my peace back. My cheating sister's wedding. I don't want to go to my cheating sister's wedding. My brother-in-law found out my sister had been cheating on him for 8 years, 2 years ago. They have 3 kids together. Her boyfriend was married with 2 kids. My brother-in-law found old phones with old text messages that confirmed his suspicions. My sister worked with the man she was cheating with for 8 years. They went to company parties together and were in the same work social circles. My sister and her husband even met up socially with her cheating partner and his wife. All the time she was working late, working on Sundays, and asking me, my other siblings, and my parents to watch the kids were not to help her with her job, but to help her cheat. Her youngest was born during the affair. She even had my other sister take a picture of her in the NICU with the baby, which we found out was to send to her boyfriend. DNA test confirmed it was my brother-in-law's baby. Looking back, everything we thought was true all these years wasn't. It's heartbreaking. They destroyed not only their own families, but also broke the hearts of my parents and her in-laws. My parents were devastated to learn their daughter was capable of this. They were depressed, and still are to a degree to this day. My father will never be the same. He says he will go to his grave with a broken heart for her part in this. He can't believe his own daughter would do this. Anyway, 2 years later, we're still dealing with this show. Nasty divorce, custody issues, financial issues, lots of money involved. She is now living with him and getting married next month. She asked my parents for their blessing. Ha! My father said, "You did what you wanted all these years without my blessing. Now you want it, you're not getting anything." I want nothing to do with this wedding, but I feel bad for her children. I also have 2 daughters who know what happened, 15 and 13. I feel like I'm setting a bad example to go celebrate this with them. Her kids have not put the pieces together and don't realize what really went down. I don't acknowledge him or their relationship. Cheating Secrets Podcast. Cheating Secrets.